So what would you guys like to know about me? Ask me anything. Want to talk about security? Want to talk about certifications? What's the difference in the certifications? CISSP, CISM, SSCP? What do you want to know? I've been teaching CISSP since 2003. Next one I picked up for IC squared was SSCP, or I picked that up before. Somewhere I picked up ISSAP, ISSMP, and I don't recommend going for those yet. They're trying to revive them, I think. They never really made it. So disconnecting it from CISSP opens the audience, I think, a lot, but the materials that they have are not ready. They're just not ready. They're not good. At least ISSAP. I just taught a class for AP. Boy, the IC square materials are lacking dramatically. So hopefully that opening it up, they'll get better material and work on the exam and things will improve. But right now, not so much. Not so much. Teach CISM, CISA, CGITE, Corporate Governance of Enterprise IT. All those three are for ISACA. Which would I recommend first, CISSP or CISM? Kind of depends on how hard you want to work up front. If you get CISSP first, CISM is going to be fairly easy. If you get CISM first, you have to work for that, and then you're going to have to work hard again to get CISSP because it covers so much more material. Pretty much everything that's in pretty much everything that's in CISM is in CISSP. But the questions focus heavily on management on the CISM, kind of obviously with the name of the exam. You'll have a few technical questions, but they're very minimal, whereas CISSP has a lot of, has a lot of technical questions and manager questions. So depends on how hard you want to work up front. And at what point will it become fruitless for humans to be involved in cybersecurity? Goodness, given that the attack factors are increasingly being scaled. So AI and security should come together, but I don't think that removes humans. If it removes the humans, feels like we're going into some movie type of environment. Keeping up with the threat factors is hard, but there's so much more to security. It's the policies and procedures, everything else we have inside the business that guides humans and their behavior with the systems and what kind of things they can do with the data and how we collect data, where we store the data. The threat factors, yeah, keeping up with the attacks that are coming in. Yeah, I agree with James. AI is a tool. AI can autopilot. Oh shoot, sorry. Autopilot can guide the plane through just about everything, but you still need the human there, especially for landing at this point. But the humans are setting the rules. This is where we're flying, how we're flying, what we're doing. So security, it's just so much more, starting with the governance of data, governance of our environments, what users can do, how they can behave. Practice test for CCSP. Mine. So I wrote most of the questions that Pocket Prep has. Sorry, I can't get my voice to clear. I haven't talked apparently today. Pocket Prep. I wrote 700 of the 1,000 that are in there, and I wrote them specifically because I wanted content that's going to look like the exam or close to the exam. 20 years of teaching CISSP, and my answer still is we don't have anything that looks like the test. There's nothing that really, you can say, I'm doing these questions and it's going to help me get ready for the test. It shows me what the test is like. I was tired of it. So CCSP, I said, okay, let's fix this. And Pocket Prep asked me to write questions, and I did, honestly, for not much money, but it was to make sure that we had content in the community that we can work with. So Pocket Prep. Did I say that yet? Pocket Prep. It's really a cool application. You pay for a month and you have access to all their certifications, all their exams, which is a lot more than you would ever want. Not all security stuff. But the last part, Rakesh, to obtain it shortly or quickly, that depends on your background. So it is possible to get ready for the test very quickly if you understand security and the cloud. If you don't understand the cloud, so the technical elements of the cloud and what the technology entails, the virtualization, platform as a service, software as a service, infrastructure as a service, encryption and what it means to have encryption in the cloud, all that kind of just goes on and on. If you understand that stuff, then you can get ready for the test quickly. If you don't, not so much. Oh, same question. Edward, you do have a really good question, but James has it right. The artificial intelligence, I don't think in our lifetimes is going to replace the human element in security completely. It's inside of things like intrusion detection, intrusion prevention. I'm not using AI yet, but if we apply that and into the security information event managers, the SIEMs or the SIMs, to analyze what's going on and be able to respond quickly, yeah, AI is great there. But in CISSP, that is someone else's computer. It is. CISSP, that certification, it starts off with governance. How do we manage our business? What is it we're trying to do? I'm trying to quiet my dogs right now. I see there's a dog out there barking somewhere. But policies, procedures, standards, baselines, guidelines. I always say in CISSP, the things I do in my business are fundamentally the same that just about any other business is doing, what the government is doing at firewalls, intrusion detection, antivirus, identity and access management. But what I apply and how I apply it to my business is not what the government does pretty much anywhere at all. Yeah, making things more productive so that I remember, it's my brain's going back. I remember the day. Who remembers this with me? I remember the days of there were logs and humans could read them. You could read the content of a day within that day. Yeah, and James working at KnowBe4. He's your guy on that one. If the humans are not behaving properly, doing the right things, not clicking on the phishing links and things like that, then life gets so much worse for businesses, because that's the common attack point pretty much across the planet. The way the hackers are getting into our systems is users are clicking on things that they shouldn't. Oh yeah, Gen AI or ChatGPT or something, Claude, any of those would actually be very interesting to write with policies. I found it interesting to create all kinds of content. You have to read through it and be careful, make sure that you have content that you want. AI is not always accurate. Yeah, exactly. AI reviewing the logs. Humans can't read the logs anymore. Yeah, there's a good number from James. 70% of our data breaches, it's because the humans screwed up. Humans opened the door physically, logically, clicked on something, hovered over an image, did something that let the hackers in. Users are on the forefront. They can be our greatest asset, or biggest weaknesses? Hallucinations. I've never said that. That's a good one. Yeah, AI is not always right. I've seen it say some things like, no, not even close. Nice try. Actually, I was using it on the CISSP class. And there's no practice questions that are above the words I want to apply to the questions that are out there. Just, I don't want to say here. Cuss like the sailor I wanted to be, but not now. But using it to generate questions for CISSP was actually very useful. But boy, some of the content I came up with. Anyone with an email address to your organization as electronic key. Yep. That's the problem. Part of what I was saying when I said the security that I put in place versus what the government does. I want to be more public. If you've seen me on Reddit or Discord or TikTok or any place else, my username is my name. Everybody else has cute other names, but I want to be found. I want to make it easier for people to find me, use me. And it's just generally not a good plan, not what I would recommend anybody does. But it is what I do. Yep, a security copilot. Is that a specific tool? I haven't heard of I have Microsoft Copilots. But Frank, I don't know if that's a specific tool that's out there now. It's one of the things that I miss the most about being in the classroom is being exposed to things that everybody else is running into. But yeah, AI doing that threat hunting is great. Which goes back to Edward's question. Yeah, that AI is great for that. But that's just a piece of security. Just a small piece. Yeah, my name is my brand. So anything other than my name, Gwen Betwee, it's somebody else pretending to be me, which as far as I know, nobody else has ever tried. Never found anybody that wanted to steal my job and show up at a classroom and teach CISSP or something else for 12 hours a day. Never found anybody that wanted to steal my job. But it could certainly happen at some point, especially now that I'm building a bigger online brand. Any thoughts about getting back into the classroom? Maybe. I actually do have a class scheduled in September where I'm teaching it's not physical, it's virtual. It's going to be physical. I am getting on a plane next weekend and flying to Texas for a conference for 2 days. So I'm doing it. I'm getting back on a plane. I was just burned out from travel. I have like 1.6 million miles on United. So I miss being in the classroom, but my biggest problem is my health. I have MS and my stamina is just not where it used to be. So maybe a real class in a physical classroom once every few months, I would do. That's what I'm thinking. So maybe. I don't know what would make it worth it. Probably the money. Okay, I'll show up on. You want to pay me that? Yeah, I'll show up on site. So, all right. What other questions do you guys have for me? CISSP, CISM, my life. Yes, I'm in a RV. I'm at a campground in Colonial Beach, Virginia. And yes, there's a guy behind me at his RV. They've been working on upgrading things or fixing things. It's a constant part of life in a motorhome. I have a Tiffin Open Road 2016. New ones are a little more expensive than I can handle. Lily, come. In the ever-evolving landscape of cybersecurity threats, how do you prioritize between implementing proactive measures to mitigate future risk? How do you prioritize between implementing proactive measures to mitigate future risks versus reacting. How do I prioritize that? That's a good question, my Sarah. My apologies if I didn't say that correctly. That's with the business. There's no single answer. There's no right answer. Depends on what kind of immediate threat is also what we're talking about. Are we talking about a virus that could possibly corrupt a little bit of data? Are we talking about hackers are in the system right now and we can see the data leaving that they're extracting or exfiltrating out of our business? What kind of data is it? So there are certain threats that need to be addressed, and proactive measures are for tomorrow. Preferably more proactive, but that's just in the skill set. What is it? Which maturity model applies to security engineering? CMM from ISO 21827, I think. Capability maturity model for security engineering. The more that we're doing the right things, the more proactive we get, the better we're going to be able to stop any active threats at the door and not let them in. Okay, so it is a tool. Yeah, if AI is built into it, that's terrific. I know I didn't think you were advocating for it. It was an interesting question. We do have to make sure things have to be manageable within the business. This is my business. This is my alternate office. Other offices in my home. So it's different for every business that's out there. CMM, capability maturity model. I think it's ISO 21827. Usually right on my numbers. It's for security engineering. Maturity models allow us to rate how mature, literally how mature are we? Like I've got 3 dogs here, 2 are 3+ years old, and they're the ones that are sitting quietly, where the 1-year-old is over there grumbling, threatening to bark. So literally how mature are we in our capability of whatever it is we're measuring, where that particular one, CMM, measures from ISO. There's 2 out there. The ISO 21827 measures security engineering capability. Yeah, that's a whole nother problem, his budgets. He did that twice. Showed up twice on my end. Yeah, budgets is a whole nother issue. What is the board willing to pay? Is the board even paying attention? One of my favorite metrics is how much is the board actually talking about security in board meetings. I want to know how many minutes the board is actually talking about security in each and every board meeting, and how long is the board meeting, percentages and things like that. Because if they're not talking about security, addressing security, if they don't understand, if they're not aware of the threats, if they're not being helped, if somebody's not helping them understand the threats, or this is what's going on, we're never going to get any budget, or we'll get very little budget. Thanks, Edward. Yeah, so Marsara, there's a lot of maturity models that are out there. There's an original CMM from 1980 something, 83, 84, if I remember correctly. It was replaced by CMMI, but unfortunately ISO used that same term. But there's a people maturity model. There's a privacy maturity model, PMM, which is one of our big topics these days. The laws keep changing, especially with GDPR and its evolution. That's why I said, James, it's not just how many minutes the board's talking about it, but how long's the board meeting, and it's an interesting metric to begin with. So it's more percentage, but starting point. Goodness, I don't know what just happened out there. CMMI, Capability Maturity Model Integration, is designed for software developers. So they're both maturity models. CMMI is for software development. And CMM, the ISO standard, is for security engineering. But the foundation is maturity models. Literally how mature, how advanced are we at an initial level of chaos, which my youngest puppy is here. She's just chaos. Where the other two are getting pretty well trained. Sorry, the dogs are barking. I'm good at that as my example. So CMMI is software. CMM, the ISO standard, is security engineering. There's a PMM, people maturity model. How good are your people at what they're supposed to be doing? Privacy maturity model. How good are we at protecting personal data, names, addresses, phone numbers of our users and our customers? What else you got for me? What role do I see emerging technologies such as AI and machine learning playing in enhancing security defenses? So that's what we were just talking about. AI like technology, anything machine learning is arguably a type of AI. Using that to analyze what's going on and find the problems quicker, address the problems quicker, so that either humans can respond if necessary, or if we can get the systems to respond as quickly as possible. I think that's a great idea. Risks, kind of what I was just saying with ChatGPT. You can't rely on any of the ChatGPTs coming out with correct information. It may not be correct. So responding to threats, we've seen it with IPSs. I taught Cisco IPS for a while, the SourceFire products, now called Firepower. Can't seem to let go of the old name. And one of the weirdest things that I saw in that course, there's a chapter, there's a chapter for IPS, a chapter for IDS, a chapter for firewall, a chapter for antivirus, because of everything the product does. And on custom classes at a specific business, IPS was the chapter asked to skip. But you bought an IPS product. Why are you skipping the IPS chapter? Because we're not going to use it. Okay, but you might. Don't you want to know some stuff? They're like, never using it. Not happening. Okay, why'd you buy it? Because the boss wanted it. But it's just too dangerous for most businesses to use IPS within their business, because the technology can easily identify users' traffic as bad traffic. And depending on when it's learning, it could actually learn attacks as good and normal traffic. So that's the problem that we've had for the longest time, and AI isn't going to automatically fix that. Machine learning over time, I think we could get to things would be better. But that's the danger with relying on the computer to decide if things are okay, things are safe, this is an attack, this is not an attack. It's not always accurate. Yeah, and I love that NIST is working on, they've actually released, I think, one algorithm that they say, forget the name of it, that they say is a post-quantum, so a quantum resistant algorithm. I forget what it is, but now we have to get it deployed. One of the scariest things I've seen, I've been deep into Amazon, GCP, and Azure documentation, and your algorithm choice is AES or AES. The entire platform, all three. If we see IC Squared come out with a Gen AI, that'd be interesting. Teaching the AI workshop. That's cool. That's awesome. Congratulations. Well, it's not instead of IPS, it's developing better and better products that respond properly, because IPS will stop the traffic, block the traffic, Looks like my dog is driving. IPS is designed to stop and block traffic that it decides, that it determines based on some logic is bad, but it just can't be trusted yet. So that's what we need. And that's kind of getting into this AI conversation. Having that inside of our security systems, that's what we would want, is for it to see and realize that there's a threat actor out there that's attacking our systems and block that traffic, kill the connection, get rid of the connection. So it's not instead of, it's improving it is what we need. Made our algorithms. Lily finds your dad jokes hysterical. So this is my 1-year-old. Chaos. Chaos is her name. No, it's Lily, but she's Chaos. She is at maturity model 1. She's at level 1. We're working on it. What else you got for me? What other questions? Want to know about my dog? I love my dogs. I love animals because they don't lie to you. They don't lie. People do. But it's in a way kind of this whole topic. Hackers, what bad things do they get into? Why are they attacking us? Generally, the goal these days is just money. Money, money, money. What else? Questions about me, questions about CISM, CISSP, IC squared, ISACA, where to get questions. You're doing those. Well, if you want to do ISSAP, ChatGPT is one of your best platforms to go with. Just be careful. With the rise of remote work, I'm in a campground, yes, and the increasing resilience on cloud-based services. It's most of what I teach these days. How do you approach secure and sensitive data? Kind of the same approach as always. 2 basic things: encryption and identity and access management as far as technology. And then making sure that we have policies and procedures. We have security personnel who know the laws deep enough, lawyers to advise on it, that we know what we have to protect, how we have to protect it. So it honestly doesn't, my opinion doesn't change. I've said for the longest time, we should be encrypting a lot more within a business. Going into the office doesn't make things secure, especially if you've got people within the business that are bribable. That would be a problem. Or just the clicking on links and letting the hackers in. Most of the traffic we send in the business is sent in the clear. It's not trustable. We should be encrypting it. So then it doesn't matter if I'm in a camper in a campground, the traffic coming to me or going is encrypted. LinkedIn is encrypted. TikTok is encrypted. I don't know why I came up with TikTok. Trying to stop my dog from barking at me. And controlling access, identity and access management. Cloud technology actually increases the complexity of how we control access. We've never been particularly good at it. Having everybody in the office doesn't make it better from an identity and access management problem. Just think about it. Have you ever had access to something, or do you have access to something you shouldn't have access to? Or you shouldn't have access to it anymore? Or you have more access than you're supposed to? Level 1. We're working on it. What else you got for me? What other questions? Want to know about my dog? I love my dogs. I love animals because they don't lie to you. They don't lie. People do. But it's in a way kind of this whole topic. Hackers, what bad things do they get into? Why Why are they attacking us? Generally, the goal these days is just money. Money, money, money. What else? Questions about me, questions about CISM, CISSP, IC squared, ISACA, where to get questions. You're doing those. Well, if you want to do ISSAP, ChatGPT is one of your best platforms to go with. Just be careful. With the rise of remote work, I'm in a campground, yes, and the increasing resilience on cloud-based services. It's most of what I teach these days. How do you approach secure and sensitive data? Kind of the same approach as always. Two basic things: encryption and identity and access management as far as technology. And then making sure that we have policies and procedures. We have security personnel who know the laws deep enough, lawyers to advise on it, that we know what we have to protect, how we have to protect it. So it honestly doesn't, my opinion doesn't change. I've said for the longest time, we should be encrypting a lot more within a business. Going into the office doesn't make things secure, especially if you've got people within the business that are bribable. That would be a problem. Or just the clicking on links and letting the hackers in. Most of the traffic we send in the business is sent in the clear. It's not trustable. We should be encrypting it. So then it doesn't matter if I'm in a camper in a campground, the traffic coming to me or going is encrypted. LinkedIn is encrypted. TikTok is encrypted. I don't know why I came up with TikTok. Trying to stop my dog from barking at me. And controlling access, identity and access management. Cloud technology actually increases the complexity of how we control access. We've never been particularly good at it. Having everybody in the office doesn't make it better from an identity and access management problem. Just think about it. Have you ever had access to something, or do you have access to something you shouldn't have access to? Or you shouldn't have access to it anymore, or you have more access than you're supposed to have. So remote work and cloud doesn't change anything. It puts the data in somebody else's hands and requires contracts and things like that we wouldn't normally do. But security buzzword that drives me crazy. I don't know. I have to think about that for a long time. Well, it's still slightly so, but cybersecurity versus information security, same thing. Cyber is a buzzword, but people are starting to use it in specific ways, talk about specific pieces. No, it's the same thing. What GDPR framework can be implemented in an MTO environment? What's MTO? Whereby admins with global admin roles have access to view data from other countries. All right, Frank, I don't know what to do with this. What GDPR framework? GDPR is a law. It's a requirement for member countries of the EU to follow. There's no GDPR framework. And I don't know what MTO is. What's MTO? So give me a little more, Frank, and I'll come back to it. What's next after the intro exam? In the IC squared logic, it's SSCP. Might be the next step up. But that doesn't mean you can't go for CISSP next. So it just depends on years of experience, how much you want to tackle. SSCP is a simpler exam, looking at the content and what you need to know and how deep it goes. It's less than CISSP. So that would be a nice gentle path to CISSP, or jump straight into the deep end and go for CISSP next. Oh, multi-tenant. LinkedIn user, I'll come back to you in a second. All right, so multi-tenant. Well, that's just cloud. Oh, wrong one. So I still don't have an answer. Again, GDPR is not a framework, it's a regulation, and then there's laws in each country requiring the protection of data, personal data, at a specific level. Global admins with global access shouldn't be looking at data. That's my other problem with your question, Frank. Admins should not be looking at data unless that's their part of their job is to go in and set up user accounts or something like that. But they should not be in the database of customers, customer names, addresses, phone numbers, which is where GDPR would apply the most specifically. That's a whole lot of scariness altogether. Setup is a set of up to 5 Entra IDs. Okay, so you're in a specific technology. You're not using generic cloud-based terms. So I don't know. I don't have good answers. Anybody else have a good answer for Frank? All right, back to this one. What do you think about the latest changes? If you look at every change IAC Squared's made to CISSP, it used to be every year they would update it until we hit 2015 and things went sideways. And now it's at about every 2 to 3 years. They have to update it within 3 years because of the ANSI certification it holds. But if you go back and you look at any single change, it's always been very, very minor. There's never been dramatic changes. But if you looked at the CISSP today versus when I started teaching it in 2003, there's a big difference. But from 1 year to the next, one change to the next, there's never been big changes. It's the nature of security. They're pretty much on track, at least from their perspective and what they're teaching, what they want us to know. They're on track with what's happening in the world, and they just need to shift a little bit for the next and for the next. There's not major changes. Right? Encryption is still encryption. Bella Padula is still Bella Padula. These things they just don't change. It doesn't change very quickly. What has been my thought research? I'm sorry, you are confusing me. I'm not sure what you mean by thought research. What research I do? How do I stay current with things? Is that what you're asking? Do I have any publications of mine or things I recommend that you read? Yeah, those have not changed. They have not changed a bit. But you have to add an EEP. So Pap Chap and EEP. So not what you asking. Do I have publications of my own, or what do I read? So I'd like one of my favorite. What's his name? Shoot, who's the Bruce Schneier? I like his blogs. First thing comes to mind. Otherwise, just about anywhere. From Dark Reading Room, or What's in the News, or who's the guy that he comes out with a lot of the critical things we'll learn from him first. He seems to have an insight into the FBI or the Secret Service. You don't want to sit for CISSP again? At this point, I actually want to. Well, I've wanted to for many years. I would love to sit for it again. I have issues. But I would love to get in there. Yeah, that's a good one. Daily Cyber Threat Brief. Yeah, that's a good one. Can't think of his name. It'll come to me in a bit. So my Sarah, is that what you're... No way, you don't want to sit for CISSP, Shalina. Well, that's not who I'm trying to think of. That's what you're helping with, Matthew. Find out that you've still, yeah, that's why I'd like to take CISP. I thought CCSP was a walk in the park, and I'd love to see if CISSP would be like that for me now. Tough. Oh, not thought. So where was the question? My sorry. Oh, where'd the chat go? There it is. Sorry, guys. I have a magic mouse, and I got myself out of the studio. So now I can't see the previous comments. So, sorry, you had said tough. Is anybody still there? Are you guys still there? I can't see. I can't see who's here. Anybody there? Somebody send me something in chat. Tell me you're still there. Hello? Matthew. Okay, good. Thanks, James. It's a weird interface. It's my first LinkedIn Live. It definitely has better English. I think that CISSP probably originally did, but they're still asking questions about the same thing. 30 years later, we still have Bell LaPadula that we're talking about, that they're asking questions about. So they have to stretch in CISSP to ask kind of the same questions, but in a completely different way, so that in practice, you would have never seen those questions. Thanks, guys. So I think CCSP will eventually get to bad English. It's just more complex, and it'll look like it's an English test. It's not IC squared's intention, but they want to make sure that when you go into the test, they're testing you on knowledge. Hey, FinCom. Testing you on knowledge, and you have to understand the concepts, not memorize questions. Turn my screen to black. Failed at 175. So Lee, that means that you were fairly close. I've seen a lot of the results at 175 that have a lot of domains that are under that proficiency mark. So it might look like you're further away than you are. But you were close. I've seen it fail people at 174. So 175 meant you were still in the game. I've seen it actually go 2 questions beyond what they say is the limit. It was there. I wasn't in the exam room, but I've had people come out of the exam room and go, I got 2 more than you said that they would ever give us. Not leaking information about the exam. So CISM, would it be easier to divert and do that and then come back to CISSP? That depends on how comfortable, like what side of CISSP are you more comfortable with, the technology or the management questions? If you're good on the technology, like what's encryption and networking and identity and access management and all that kind of stuff, then it kind of doesn't matter which one you do, because the CISM is going to focus yourself on management questions, where CISM has all, or CISSP, keeps getting them backwards. CISSP has all those manager questions plus all the technical questions. So, Lee, it's a good question, but without talking to you and knowing a little bit more about you, hard to say. I do on my website, which is Tactical Security Inc., or the first three letters of each, TacSecInc.com. You can set up a 15-minute call with me, and I'd be happy to chat with you about that and see if I can help you pick a path. Happy to do that. So set up a 15-minute call with me on TacSec Inc. I don't know. Meant to have that as a banner, but oh well. So TACSECINC.com or tacticalsecurityinc.com. You can spell it out and set up a call with me. Happy to chat. Oh, I forgot about that. I was going to give you my first chapter of my risk book. It's so close. In the next week or 2 weeks, I'll release it on Amazon. So if you want that, what I would love to get from you is your email address, but I want a work email. So give me your name and your work email. Send me a direct message on LinkedIn, or you can email me directly, and I will send you the first chapter of the book I'm releasing soon. So it's enterprise risk management. So if risk is a topic that you're struggling with, because it's kind of core and central to everything we do in security, to understand what are the threats, what are the possible problems. Yeah, I got a new book. Then I'll go back and update the other two. Now that this one is basically done. So it's almost ready for Amazon within the next week or two. So direct message on LinkedIn or contact me in some way. Join my my mailing list on my website and put a comment in there about the book, and I will send you chapter 1. Hasn't been released yet, so I'm open to comments. And even after it's released, I'm open to comments. Yeah, 15 minutes, whatever I can do to help. I do have things that I sell, but it's not a sales call. But if I have something that I think would fit perfectly for what you're doing, I'll tell you. And if you want to go a different route with somebody else, that's fine. But I'm happy to help you make decisions. Which way do you want to go? Let's see. I've got one of my controls. I pulled the nightshades down so the dogs can't see, because I'm kind of on Main Street. On the road. On the road again. Just not in the air. Thanks, James. Glad you have the other two. They need updating. The CCSP book, Guardians, I've been updating it, but it hasn't made it up to Amazon because I haven't been able to get through all chapters yet. So send me a message on LinkedIn with your work email, and I would be happy to send you chapter 1. So just say book or risk in the message. I love CCSP. I do. I love CCSP. I've had a blast teaching that thing. So I have the one that looks like the big bus. It's a Tiffin open road. If you Google it, there are no driving lessons. You don't need a different driver's license. You have to have a specific driver's license to get on a motorcycle, but you don't need an extra one to drive these big buses. So if you're on the road and you see any of these, give them clearance, because who knows who's driving it and what kind of skills they've got. Otherwise, I like driving it. I'd worked my way up catering and working for a fish market. Last thing I drove there was a cab over box truck that was 30 or 35 feet long, something like that. So that's just a little bit bigger and taller. But going from a car to this is insanity. So no lessons. I went to the Went to Camping World, but I just wanted to drive one of these. They're like, yeah, come on over, drive one. I was going out with a salesperson in the other seat, and I'm like, you've got a lot of nerve getting in this thing and letting me drive it. Are you crazy? It's just a little bigger. She's like, well, you seem very confident. I think you'll be okay. Okay. Difference from a car. It's just massive. I have to make sure I stay in the lane. Back roads. I mean, I took a couple small back roads to get out to the edge where I am. It's work to stay in the lane on the road. That's kind of what I'm doing. And that's actually why I got my risk book as of 2 days ago. I'm finally good with, but that's what I'm doing. I'm kind of isolating myself so I can work. And most of it is writing for me. But yeah, that's what I've been to 46 of the states already, but I'd love to go back and drive through the states, catch the ones that I haven't gotten to. Yeah, I love CCSP. It's a good exam. What other questions you guys have for me? About me, or the dogs, or security, CCSP, CISM, CISSP. What are the thoughts? What are some of the things that you've seen in security that is new, different, or concerning? Got about 8 minutes left. So I have a customer that I've spent a lot of time for them digging into that documentation for those 3 big cloud providers. So it's not just talking about it. I'm actually applying my work, applying my knowledge, which is great. We can do that. If I work my way down there, though, I have 3 dogs. So I need help to make sure they get walked. We can do that. CSSLP, I have never taught it. I have sat in a class just because I was there. I didn't have anything to do, and a friend of mine, Kevin Henry, was teaching it. What I saw was it just didn't seem that software-based. I think ISC² is honestly lacking in their software skills, software development, application development. So I don't have bad things to say about it. Not particularly good things to say about it, but I haven't gotten all the way into it, to be fair. But I do think ISC², if you really are a strong software developer and you really understand security and software development, there's a lot of disappointment that I see when you get around ISC² on that topic. Job market? I have no idea. I don't know, other than the statistics say there's an awful lot of open jobs in security. Like 400,000, 500,000 open jobs is the numbers that I've seen. Beyond that, I don't know. Yeah, I don't understand the struggles people are having with those numbers. If there are 400,000 to 500,000 jobs available, I've had a lot of people ask me, how do I get into jobs? I don't have any good answers. I just don't understand why. I understand what you say. What do you mean understand? And we have to do better at that. We need to get, I'll say, the younger generation. Doesn't have to be younger. It's just newer people into security. We need to get them into security in positions that are going to allow them to grow. Zero, how effective has the implementation been? Probably not very good. If you're moving environments, like if you're going into the cloud newly and you build from zero trust, then a lot of success can happen from that. But otherwise, trying to take our current environment and shift to that is difficult. But it's really, honestly, the first time I looked at zero trust, my thought was, this is what I've been saying for the last 20 years. But in reality, in doing security the way that we should, doesn't always go that smoothly. Skip one. Most of the job descriptions do seem to ask for CISSP. So other ones like ISSAP and MP and EP, well, that'd be U.S. government specific. SSCP, it's just not the recognition. So back to whoever had asked me, what should I take next after CC, SSCP, or CISSP? CISSP is in the job descriptions, right? Yeah, CC is for new. I tried to say I wanted to go take the test just to see what's in there, and IC squared system won't allow me to take it because I already have CISSP. So it is intended for entry level, period, end of statement. But getting that into business and have them understand what that is and getting it into job descriptions is another deal altogether. So very good idea. And we'll see over time what that does. I'm not saying it won't work. Time will tell. Time will tell how good it is. Did not know that you can't take CC if you have CISSP. But yeah, that's cool. I don't know how many of you were there, but thanks for being here.